Hey everyone, this is Zephyr, and welcome to the Bailey Wiki channel, where we teach everyday DMs how to create truly amazing experiences for their players by combining art and technology. If you're a DM who likes to wow your players, and you're interested in or using platforms like Dungeon Draft and Foundry Virtual Tabletop, then you're in the right place. Today we're going to be doing a special episode where we're kind of doing an overview or a bird's eye view of FoundryVTT towards the tail end of 2023. If you're brand new to the platform, or if you're someone who's looking at different virtual tabletops to see which one is the right fit for you, then stay tuned because this video is perfect for you. We're going to go over some of the key features of Foundry, some things that differentiate it from other virtual tabletops, and key features to consider. From the most basic level, there's two features that really differentiate Foundry in our eyes. The first is that it is a one-time purchase. You as the GM need to go to the FoundryVTT website and purchase a license one time, and that's it. From there, you can use your license to stand up your own server or use a hosting service in order to set up the server. And two, there's a lot of open community development. Community modules are not only encouraged, but greatly supported in Foundry, allowing a lot of extra capabilities, from technical to content. So when you hop into Foundry, we're going to take a quick look at the setup screen. There is a variety of news on the side, and then you have options for updates, warnings, configurations up at the top, and then we have three main menus in the center. We're going to first start with game systems, and game systems are just the different RPG systems. And one of the great things about Foundry, as you can see, is that there are over 250 different TTRPG systems for you to choose from. So no matter what you're playing at your table, you can probably find support for it on Foundry. Next, let's take a look at add-on modules. As we mentioned, there is a massive development community and a lot of support for it. I've been busy here, so there's a lot in place, but you can browse all of these modules from the install modules area, and there's over 2,000 of them at the time of this recording. The vast majority of these are completely free, but there are also premium content modules available for your use if you want extra adventures or premium features. Finally, we have game worlds, which other VTTs might refer to simply as games. These worlds you can think of as independent campaigns or game settings. You may run multiple games out of the same world, but typically you'll have separate worlds. And each of these worlds has its own system defined for it. You can also edit things such as a background image, the description, adding in players, and setting up your next session details, all from within your setup screen. It's a very nice and intuitive interface for setting up your game worlds. Once you hop into Foundry, we'll do a quick tour of the UI. Up in the top right corner are what we refer to as your directories. These are going to house different things from the chat to your settings, combat encounters that are going on, scenes that you have, and you can see there is a robust folder system, actors, items, journal entries, and more. So whenever someone refers to directories, this is usually what they're referring to. It's basically your active storage location for all of the things you'll use to put onto the scenes and the scenes themselves. Up at the top, you have your navigation bar, and if you go into scenes, you can right-click on a scene and toggle its navigation to add or remove it from that navigation bar up at the top. Then you can click on the scenes up at the top in order to jump between them. Different permissions will affect whether only you can do this or your players can as well. And you can see this is a quick and easy way to get around and have different scenes at your fingertips for a session. On the left side, we have our tools, and this is generally things for manipulating objects on the scene, from lights to walls and sounds. And you can have more or less of these buttons based upon different add-on modules that you install. So I've got a few extra here. And down at the bottom, you have a macro bar. And one of the nice features about Foundry is you actually get 5 macro bars and hotbar pages that you can cycle through. You could drag items here to use without having to open your sheet, or you can have special macros to run as a GM. With the UI tour out of the way, let's take a look at one of Foundry's coolest features, and that is lighting. As you can see, this scene has a lot going on. There are a ton of different lights adding a really great atmosphere here. When it comes to creating a light in Foundry, it's as simple as click to set the origin and drag to set the radius. You can then double click to adjust individual settings, and we can set up different aspects of it. You can adjust colors and their intensity as much as you want, and there are a ton of different light animations and advanced settings. As you can see, there's a lot going on in this scene. There are some red pulses, some ethereal lights, all kinds of lighting effects going on that really lend itself to the atmosphere. Foundry's lighting engine is incredibly intuitive and simple to use, and it gives an amazing effect while being very performant. And as you can see, this carries over beautifully to actual token vision and token movement. Another key feature of Foundry's scene creation is walls. You can obstruct light, sound, movement, and vision all independently. You can even set up proximity walls like this to give the feeling of looking over an edge or not being able to look out something until you get close enough. While there are a lot of wall options, there are great tooltips in the wall section to kind of explain what each of them does, and it also has all of your different controls. It's as simple as click and drag to set the beginning and end points of walls, and you can open them to have more granular controls, including that proximity setting to determine how close people are to have that effect. Foundry also has a really nice and robust tile system. You can use this to add extra artwork on top of scene backgrounds, etc. And there is a great overhead system that allows you to create roofs or treetops, and this dovetails nicely with those proximity walls to give the effects of windows. When it comes to creating tiles, it's really simple to just open up your tile browser, and then you go through your file structure until you find the artwork that you would like to add in. And there are multiple ways of viewing it, from thumbnails to descriptions, etc. And you can adjust this asset grid size to set the DPI so that no matter what DPI you created your asset with or you create your scene with, they can match up in terms of scale. So it's really easy to use. There's also a fantastic sound system. You can have ambient sound beacons here that are playing different sounds as people move about, and we can see more of those overhead tiles in action. You can also use the lighting tool to toggle between night and day, and you can even link up those ambient sound beacons to certain darkness activation ranges so that you can hear chirping birds in the morning and during the day, but then at night you hear frogs croaking and bugs humming. And again, just like lights, it's as simple as click to place the origin and drag to set the radius. From there, you browse your file structure to find the sound that you want, and there are a lot of other controls in here for things like wall constraints, volume easing, and maximum volume. Sounds are incredibly easy to use in Foundry and add a great ambiance or level of coziness to whatever map you're working on. In addition to all of the tools for building scenes, there are also tools such as journal entries for keeping your notes organized or sharing information with your players. There are page systems to be able to add multiple pages to a single journal, and headings intelligently create a hierarchical outline for you to navigate throughout. Editing is a simple WYSIWYG editor, or you can use the source code editor to edit the HTML directly. It's a really robust system where you can create a lot of different features. And of course, you can add different images, and all of these have the option to show your players. When it comes to token movement, it's very simple in Foundry. You can use either the WASD keys or the arrow keys in order to advance one tile at a time. And if you select on two of these buttons at the same time, then you can move in your diagonals. You can also click and drag to move the token around, and also hold Control and use clicks to set waypoints along a path before hitting spacebar to execute the path. This allows a lot of control over movement while being very intuitive and easy to use once you understand the controls. And of course, if you are a player and you're going to run into walls that obstruct movement, it's going to stop you from doing so. Managing combat is also very easy in Foundry. Simply select the actors that you want to be in the combat and click on the swords and shield icon to add them to a combat encounter. Once in your combat directory, you can see all of the combatants, and you can roll their initiative individually or leave that up to the players, or you can use these buttons to either roll all of your NPCs or roll all of the combatants. When you're ready, you can begin the combat and advance turns and rounds, and also back them up in case anything happens. You can also right-click on the combat tracker to pop it out as a separate little hover window so that you can look at other things such as the chat here, where you can see role information. And if you want to use an item, you can click on the die icon next to the item, and it will generate a chat card where you can roll the attack and damage for the different item. This is using the 5e system with absolutely no modules modifying combat. There are a lot of different add-on modules that will add differing layers of automation to different systems, and different systems have levels of automation built in, such as requiring targets and respecting range and auto-rolling damage and attacks. Adding actors to the board is really easy. You can go to your actors directory and drag them out, like this player character here, or you can drag in additional enemies that you have in your sidebar as well. If you want to grab a brand new one, most systems have SRD content or some kind of preloaded compendium, which you can think of as deep storage for all of your content, and you can go in there to drag out additional enemies. So we can go through and we can select an enemy that we'd like to add, such as this assassin. Simply dragging him on the board, and we have a fully functioning token. And you'll notice that the assassin was also brought in to our actors directory. With the assassin dragged into our sidebar, we can bring in additional copies directly from our actors directory rather than the compendium as well. And if we want to keep him hidden, we can toggle his visibility state in the top right to give a clouded outlook for us and absolutely no appearance to our players. In addition to the amazing core features that Foundry has, modules can add a wealth of new possibilities, including turning tiles into buttons that allow you to completely renovate a scene, changing its lights, walls, and sounds, to also adding multiple levels going on, adding intuitive verticality to your maps. Go up and down stairs, through elevators, etc. You can even attach entire buildings and objects to tokens to be able to control them all at once with a prefab system, and then make those into deployable structures, or get them as deployable structures to be able to build your scenes faster and easier than ever before, especially if you need to improv something on the fly. You can even bring Foundry into 3D with 3D Canvas, and incorporate a ton of different great automation modules to make combat both stylish and easy to manage. There are a ton of different technical capabilities. And in addition to all of the technical modules, there are also a wealth of content modules. All of the different maps you've seen in the background are a part of our premium modules that you can get on our Patreon to be able to use in your own games on Foundry. That's going to wrap up this really quick overview of Foundry in the tail end of 2023. If you found this video inspiring or compelling and you want to take the dive into FoundryVTT, now is a great time to do it. From 9 a.m. US Pacific on Friday, November 24th, until 9 a.m. US Pacific on Friday, December 8th, Foundry's having their end of November sale where you can pick up your copy of a FoundryVTT license at a discount. They also have some of their first-party adventures, such as A House Divided, available at a discount as well. And to get you started, if you want to learn more about some of the different mechanics of Foundry and more in depth, we've got a whole playlist on the channel dedicated to the Foundry basics. You can find that linked on screen now and down in the description. Once again, this has been Zephyr with the BaileyWiki channel. I hope that you found this video informative and interesting. If you did, subscribe to keep up with all of our latest content and consider becoming a patron. Not only do you support the channel, but you also gain access to all of the modular systems and scenes that you've seen here and a whole lot more for FoundryVTT. Whether you're brand new to Foundry, just considering it as you're shopping around for VTTs, or you're an old hand at the program. Thank you so much for watching, happy gaming, and have a good one.